Talk about acceptance, and I brought a little quote with me. So maybe you know this guy, Buddha, and he said attachment is the root of suffering. And when we think about acceptance and we think about letting go, we always have to think also about attachment, because I think most of you know it. We really like to attach ourselves to certain outcomes, to people, to situations. And it's not always that easy to find acceptance, as Melanie said, already on a daily basis. Maybe you know situations like, I don't know, you have your umbrella with you every day, then one day you leave it at home and that's when it rains. Or you're already late and then you get stuck in a traffic jam. Or you're standing in the supermarket at the cashier line, and once again, you've chosen the slowest line of all. I think most of you can relate to these situations. But what happens when life really hits us hard? When we have, unfavorable situations coming up, challenging situations coming up, and even maybe life feels like it breaks into pieces. Then it's even more difficult to find acceptance. And this is something I want to talk about today. So, from my side, as Melanie said, my name is Aurelia. I'm an organizational psychologist, and I think like most of you, I already had some ups and downs in my life, and already had to learn to accept certain situations. But most of the time, I'm a quite happy, optimistic person. Not always looking like this, but most of the time I do. And then this year came around. And this year was like life was saying to me, okay, Aurelia, you already know some things about acceptance and letting go. But I think this year we will level it up a little bit more. So what happened during these first couple of months of 2023? It's a little bit like, let's say like when the shit hits the fan. So I had 3 main challenges that arose. The first very difficult situation for me was in January, when I broke up with my partner. We have been together for 9 years, and I also moved out of our apartment. I had to leave my 2 dogs with him because I couldn't take them with me, and I moved in with a friend of mine. And already this was quite a challenge for me to accept this situation, this separation. And then February came around. And in February, my father died. My father has been 83 years old already, and he suffered for several years already from Alzheimer's disease. So I knew that he wouldn't turn 100 years old, but when he died at the end of February, it was still quite sudden for me. And then March came around. And in March, I had to put my dog to sleep. He was also already 16 years old, so he was quite old. He had a nice life, I think. But once again, I had to deal with a situation that wasn't quite how I wanted it to be, how I expected life to be. And this is when I had to learn to level it up when it comes to acceptance and letting go. But most of the time, when we have these challenging situations, these hard times, maybe you recognize yourself in her. I can recognize definitely myself in her. Because maybe we want to shut down and say, no, I don't accept this. No, this won't happen. Shut my eyes, I shut my ears. I ask myself maybe questions like, why me? Why now? Why this? But if we stick to this pattern, it's quite unhealthy for us. Because when we learn how to, little by little, foster acceptance, it can help us, like a spark, to gain resilience and to gain personal growth. But how can acceptance help us gain resilience and personal growth? Well, first of all, if we really acknowledge reality as it is, even if it's hard, it can help us to make better decisions. Because we no longer make decisions from a very emotional state. We'd rather say, okay, let's take reality. How does it look? It looks like this right now. Say, okay, what is a really good decision right now? And this is something we need when we want to build up resilience. To have a strong mindset. Not be confounded with any emotions that are arising maybe. It can also help us to embrace change. Because life is change, right? Life is not always the same. And if we accept that, sometimes reality is not the change we wanted it to be, but change is there, we can become adaptable and flexible in our mindset. And this is also something we really need when you want to be resilient and we want to grow on a personal level. And the third very important aspect, if we learn to invite acceptance and letting go in our lives, means that we can emotionally grow. When we see, okay, there are uncomfortable emotions arising in difficult situations, when we can take a look at them, when we learn how to process these emotions, we can then heal wounds. And then we can see that even if there are emotions like sadness, like grief, like angriness, like hopelessness, they're also part of our lives, but we can learn to deal with them, learn to manage them, and also maybe a little bit let them go. And this is something very important if you want to be resilient, if you want to be on a mature personal level, that we learn that emotions are part of our lives, even the uncomfortable ones. That we can learn to deal with them. But still, it's quite easy said, right? Like, okay, I accept, I let go. I deal with my emotions very easy, no problem. It was also hard for me. And I want to share some tools or things I used in the last couple of months that helped me to gain a little bit more acceptance from all of these things that happened in my life. So what can be the first thing that you can do to foster acceptance in your life? What really helped me is to become very mindful, to really become aware of the present moment, to witness what is happening around me, what can I sense, but especially also what can I witness inside of me. What kind of thoughts can I witness? What emotions are there? What kind of physical reactions maybe are there in my body? And to just observe them in a non-judgmental way. Say, okay, you're there, okay, I observe you. For example, when I think back to the situation when my vet told me that the time of my dog was coming to an end and that she suggested that we put him to sleep, it was really a hard decision for me. And it was really like, in this moment I took a step back and I really tried to become very present in the moment and not react from a very emotional level and respond to her in an emotional way, but to really say, okay, what is happening right now? What are some thoughts I have about this, what she says to me? What are emotions I can experience right now? And if I would have been stuck, let's say, in this stubborn kid, would have said, no, I don't accept this. This can't be the answer. This can't be the solution. I want my dog to live forever and ever. I don't know. But then said, okay, maybe there are also other thoughts. And I tried to say, okay, maybe let's think about the good times we had together. We say, okay, I know there are some emotions now coming up that don't feel comfortable. There are also, more emotions like happiness and gratefulness that he was part of my life. And now that he has been like 16 years old, and I know that my vet wouldn't have told me anything about putting him to sleep, even if his time wasn't the time come. So then I decided, okay, it's okay like this. Even if it's hard for me, I accept this reality, I see it. And then we decided to put him to sleep. The next thing that can really help us is trying to reframe our thoughts. If we become aware of our thoughts in a certain situation, we can take a look at them and say, okay, maybe I have the chance now to view this situation differently. Try to switch the perspective. Not saying, okay, why is this happening to me? I don't like the situation. Saying, okay, maybe it's not a problem. Saying, maybe it's some kind of opportunity inside the situation for me. Maybe to grow on a personal level. And also one situation in my life in the last couple of months was when in the last couple of days of my dad, when I already knew that he would sooner or later die. I remember I sat next to his bed and I witnessed my thoughts coming and going and said, okay, it's quite a sad situation right now and the loss will be really hard for me. But then I looked back on the situation when my mother died 6 years ago. And I thought, okay, what can I learn now in this situation? What can maybe I can do differently from the time when my mother died? I remember when my mother died, I really shut down. I closed up. I really become very hard. And this time I said, oh no, I won't do this again because it wasn't a very healthy way for me to process the grief and sadness. So this time, I will do the opposite. I will not close down. I will become not hard, but very, very soft with me. And I see this now, even if it's sad, even if I don't like the situation, even if I don't want my dad to die, I say, okay, now is the chance to really process the grief in a healthier way. It's an opportunity for me to grow. And also what really helped me is sharing. Opening up to my friends and talking about the loss of my dad or my dog, separation from my partner, with friends. And seeing that even if you show vulnerability, it's okay. Because you have some kind of support network, some people that are here for you, that carry you through these hard times. And even was quite surprising, I don't even just open up to friends of mine, but I also talked about what happened in the last couple of months with some of my clients, and it was also quite touching because it created a connection on a whole new level. Because when I opened up about what happened to me and that maybe I won't be able to do a certain meeting, they were so understanding, and also some of them told me, well, actually some of this happened to me some years ago and I can totally relate to this. And this was also very valuable for me to see, okay, I'm not alone in my experience. Often we think when something very hard happens to us, we feel so alone, so desperate. But it doesn't have to be like this. So opening up is also very good for us to let go also a little bit and to find acceptance. But it can still look like a huge mountain or like a huge staircase in front of us. And you think about, okay, wow, letting go of this, accepting this situation. Okay, this is really not that easy. And what helps me, what will help you also, I think, is to be very, not only self-aware in these situations, but very self-compassionate. To become very kind with ourselves and see that it's a process. We don't have like, I don't know, maybe you have, but I don't have like a switch where we can say, okay, now I accept totally the situation, everything's easy now, I can let go completely. But it's more like step by step. Maybe there are days where it will be easier, and maybe there will be days when it will be harder. But it's okay. If we still can be compassionate with ourselves, it will help us to find little by little acceptance, even from very challenging hard times. So, I think this is interesting, but I accept it. Well, okay, so to wrap it up, little brain game here, mindfulness. What can help you to foster acceptance? Mindfulness, reframe your thoughts, your perspective on things. Share with people that support you. And always try to be kind and loving towards yourself. So I hope that you took out a little bit of inspiration and ideas from this talk. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.